If they sack, they win this actually. That is my fear. Do I go straight forward or over farm a little bit? The counting? Oh no! Ah, I threw that so hard. I had the weather ball. I thought they were gonna sack. Wow, they must be like, what's going on, dude? All right, well that should have been a win. That was terrible. I was overthinking. I should have just gone straight for it. Hey everyone, so today I'm going to cover the team I used to hit Legend recently. The team I used was an XL Bastiodon with Pelipper and Mew. A regular Bastiodon that's not XL will work as well, but the XL Bastiodon really helps in a lot of these matchups just because that added bulk really just helps you survive a little bit longer than usual. I think Bastiodon has a pretty bad name for itself in GBL just because a lot of players use it with fast move only damage to win matchups, which definitely frustrates people, but this team is actually very charge move based, so we'll dive into matchups and you'll kind of see how it plays out. Alright, going into the first matchup, we're going to G-Fizz, which is pretty bad for Bastiodon. So here's how I use Bastiodon. I use it almost like an additional shield, or additional 2 or 3 shields, and essentially what I do is I rarely shield Bastiodon. I have Pelipper and Mew in the back, which both are fairly on the Glacier end. So against this matchup, the big thing is you need to land a Hurricane to take out the Azu. So you could also safe swap Mew, which I've done in the past, but the thing is I like Mew much more against G-Fisk because Pelipper only beats G-Fisk if you have if you have even energy. But if G-Fisk is 1 energy ahead of Pelipper, you actually end up losing it. So it's kind of tough in the back end. So my opponent there was going to lose Switch, so they aggressively swapped to Meganium. And Meganium is actually very tough for this team. Honestly, grass in general is pretty tough for this team because Bastiodon is your most reliable counter. Bulky grass like Meganium, even Venusaur, even though it's on a little bit glassier than Meganium, is still pretty solid against this team. Alright, so what I do here is I bring in Mew and then swap to Pelipper, hoping to catch Earthquake, and I actually made it happen. That was pretty much my win con there. It was actually very tough because... yeah, that G-Fizz had a ton of energy. So what I'm going to do here is actually just not shield the Earthquake. Main reason being I know I could survive an Earthquake, but I wasn't sure if this Azu is probably running Hydro Pump and Play Rough, and they're going to see the match right there. So as you can see, that match I definitely had to finesse a little bit, but this is also a very popular matchup as well. The G-Fizz with the double flyers in the back, Tropius and Pelipper. So let's see how it plays out. So against a lot of really bad leads, what you do is you really use the quick energy gain of Pelipper and Mew to potentially flip those. I usually use Pelipper to safe swap, and as you can see here, most will probably shield their Tropius, so I go for a bait and force them into to be down shields. And then I purposely don't attack there just so I get some extra farm on my Bastiodon. Anytime you get farm up extra with Bastiodon, it's great because as you can see, these moves aren't really doing much, so extra Leaf Blade is not going to hurt, but getting the extra Smackdown is really helpful to get energy here. So they brought in their G-Fizz right there, and then they brought in their Pelipper. So I'm going to let this go because it's going to be just a Weather Ball. And I'm going to go, I probably should have farmed up a little bit more energy there because then I get a slight head start against this G-Fizz. I'm going to shield this move though and then go straight for the Surf. Surf will put it quite low, not enough to KO, but the Bastiodon should be finished off. So the thing with Bastiodon is G-Fizz needs an Earthquake to take it out. So if you took some extra Leaf Blades there, it's not a really big deal because at the end of the day, the Earthquake's going to one-shot you anyway at that health range. So a few extra Leaf Blades is definitely worth the trade-off for the extra energy, in my opinion. So in my opinion, Bastiodon is a very high skill requiring Mon because it's super weak to ground, it's super weak to fighting, and they're very prevalent, super weak to water in the meta. So you really have to learn how to play around matchups and understand when you shield and when you don't. For this specific line, I'm almost never shielding Bastiodon. You just use it as a meat shield essentially, which and then you build up extra energy on it so that you could throw some damage against the next coming Mon and then just swap out, right? So in this specific matchup, obviously my Bastiodon has quite a big advantage because I have an XL high ranked Bastiodon, so I almost always win the mirror in 0 shields. I even miss some of those Smackdowns, and they come with Azu here. So I come in with my Mew. Mew, when I can still swap out, is pretty good because I'm just going to take this move right here. You'll survive everything. Hydro Pump will be quite low actually, but most people won't go Hydro Pump with 2 shields up. I'm going to go back-to-back Wild Charges, force out some shields here, and then swap. Because this debuff, you can still clear it out. And I go straight into Pelipper right here. I do shield one of these moves. It's not enough to KO, but I don't want to be too low and just lose to only fast move damage. And then they come in here with their Medicham, and I'm going to just fast move it down and finish off this Azu. Here's the other thing too. With this Bastiodon line, most Bastiodon lines in the lead will lose to this one. A lot of them have double fighters in the back, or some other kind of weird combinations. Double Razor Leaf, Shadow Razor Leaf is kind of rough for this team. But I haven't actually run into any in this recent go-around, which is nice. Alright, Shadow Mawile. Look, I'm not one to say how you should and shouldn't play the game, but Shadow Mawile is just not a very reliable steel type in my opinion. It's weak to a lot of things. It actually loses quite a few darks as well in the 0 and 1 shields. Sableye actually beats it in 0 and 1 shields, even though it's a fairy type. But yeah, in this matchup, what you want to do is just throw Flamethrower and just dip out if they shield. And so that's what they're going to do, and then you just swap out eventually. And then here, they come in with a Lickitung, which is really good to draw out because it's very strong against my Mew. I'm going to just smack down it all the way. Now here's the thing, they can't come in with Mawile because you have a Flamethrower already, right? So I should just save the energy there and then just Shadow Claw this thing down. Here comes Medicham, super weak to Mew, so I'm just going to go straight for the Surfs. They don't shield, very smart call by them, but at this point I have such a huge shield advantage and health advantage, and I still have a Bastiodon with a Flamethrower in the back. So this is going to draw out that final shield, and we shield again. It's probably going to be another Power Punch, but no big deal. And then we just throw the Surf. Charge up a little bit extra energy for the Mawile in the back, but it's going to be GG's. Alright, Azu. So this is an interesting matchup. If they're not running Hydro Pump, you actually are in a very good spot. What I'd like to do is try to catch a Hydro Pump here. So unfortunately, this opponent goes straight for the Ice Beam. So maybe they're going for the bait, or actually they might not be running Hydro Pump. That's also a possibility as well. But that's fine. I draw out this Cresselia, pretty bulky Pokemon right here. And it has a Bastiodon has a great matchup against Cresselia. They don't shield, makes sense, and I go try to go for another Weather Ball, but wasn't able to do it. I have a bunch of energy on this Bastiodon, so I think the play here is I just fast move it down. Let's see how fast I can go, and as you can see, Bastiodon could just tank a lot of things. I know I'm running the XL Bastiodon, but regular Bastiodon will do just fine in these kind of matchups as well. And then so I quickly aggressively swap just because I want to get a slight head start on energy. Here's the thing with Mew. Mew with Surf and Wild Charge actually can beat a Alolan Marowak in all even shields. This is obviously a Bone Club, so I'm going to let it go. But you would think a Ghost type would be strong against Psychic, but the Shadow Claw damage with the Surf spam is just absolutely wild. So I'm going to go for double Wild Charge here. And then, oh actually no, I go straight for the aggressive swap on my Bastiodon. And I figured they weren't going to shield that one, but I have, as you can see, stored up a bunch of energy. That's what you want to do with Bastiodon. Store up a bunch of energy, start tossing away. Bastiodon pretty much has moves against everything. I don't think anything really hard walls Bastiodon, now that I think about it. Like, you have the fire damage for fighters. You have the Stone Edge damage for a lot of things. Oh, I guess Mud Boys. They hard wall. Like, for example, Swampert. Swampert is a little bit on the glacier end though, so you can do some damage, but it's going to resist all of your moves. Yeah, Mud Boys are definitely an issue, especially Whiscash, Quagsire, stuff like that. Alright, my opponent is going to definitely start shielding these, so I'm going to have to force them to shield. I'm going to go for another Weather Ball too, just to whittle them down. This is kind of an okay matchup. They shield again. And so this is really good. So I get both shields, which is really nice. I'm going to lose Switch here. But I'm okay with that because the thing is Mew still kind of needs a shield against the Swampert. Ends up being a Drifblim. So I'm going to charge up a little bit extra energy. It's probably going to be Icy Wind, but I'm going to shield it anyway. Yeah, so it is an Icy Wind. That's fine. I'm going to throw a Wild Charge. Unfortunately, I'm debuffed, so I won't do too much damage to the Swampert, but all the chip damage is needed. If Swampert is running Earthquake, I'm in a huge, I have a huge problem. Most are running Sludge Wave though in Open Great League, so my play is I gotta go for the Stone Edge. So as you can see, these are all resisted damage, but Swampert is definitely on the Glacier end, and yeah, these even resisted Smackdowns are hurting. And then as you can see here, that Stone Edge, even resisted, does quite a bit of damage, and here I can just smack down it all the way. So yeah, even against Mud Boys, this team has a lot of play. Alright, Jellicent. This is an interesting one. If Jellicent keeps going Bubble Beam, you're actually kind of in trouble with Bastiodon. Luckily, this one's only running Hex instead of Bubble. Bubble Beam Jellicent would actually beat Bastiodon in 2 shields, I believe. But so what I like to do here is swap out eventually so that I don't get too debuffed, and then I start spamming away with other moves. So I'm going to let this go because it's going to be a Bubble Beam. And then I get debuffed, but they have an Altaria here, so it's not too bad. I have my Bastiodon for it, and seeing the Altaria early is really nice because Mew isn't great against Altaria, especially with the moveset I have on it. But I just like the moveset overall. It has great coverage. You could try to run other Mew movesets. I think the only other moveset I would really consider is Flame Charge and Grass Knot. It gives similar coverage. It's also still quite weak to Altaria, but so is the current variant I'm running, so it's not really a big deal. You have some play with Wild Charge at least, but usually if the Altaria is locked onto your Mew, you're in a bad spot. So I say if you do have that other moveset on Mew, then you can feel free to give that a shot instead. It's probably a little bit weaker to Azu if I were to guess, but it's got to play against Mud Boys, and especially with Shields down, it's great against Mud Boys, and the Flame Charge is really good against G-Fisk. Alright, oh, it's slightly weak to Bastiodon, so I will say that. If you're running the Flame Charge Grass Knot variant, you are going to be a little bit weaker to Bastiodon. Alright, Pelipper and Double Steel. This is a pretty common team. And so they swap in their G-Fisk. What I should have done, actually swapped in Mew. Mew has a much better matchup against G-Fisk. But the thing is, I didn't realize I had Bastiodon on the back. Bastiodon is actually pretty strong against Pelipper as well. So it actually ended up working out pretty well here. I have 2 shields. I'm going to shield this. It's going to be Rock Slide. That's fine. I'm going to just charge a bunch of energy. They actually swap in their Pelipper, but Wild Charge is going to one-shot this. So it's going to be very good news for me. And then they come in with Bastiodon. So I'm going to just bring in my own Bastiodon. Our switch timers are a little bit misaligned, but the thing is, again, charge up all the energy on Bastiodon. You almost never want to throw in a Bastiodon mirror the Flamethrower right away. You want to charge up so that when they swap, they still have the tank of Flamethrower. You can't stack 2, but you can stack close to 2. So as you can see, I'm just getting ready for this G-Fisk to come in. And I just let the Earthquake go. I guess I probably should have thrown that. But yeah, I guess I made it closer than I need to, but this is fine. Mew with all this energy and a shield advantage will be able to easily handle Bastiodon here. But I guess I could have gone for the safe play and just gone for a Flamethrower and just gone for the mirror win as well. Alright, Fighter leads. Really rough. So they go quickly to Pelipper. So because you're head on energy, just throw the Hurricane. For the most part, unless you want to go for like a bait with Weather Ball, but if they don't shield it, then you're in a really bad spot, right? Most will shield, but they go for the Hurricane. It's okay. I'm up on shields now. And again, with Bastiodon, you're really good against Pelipper, so you just smack down it all the way. You're going to take some damage from these Weather Balls, but no worries, because you don't really want to give the Sirfetch'd more farm. You want to just burn the Switch Clock, have a Flamethrower ready, throw out the Sirfetch'd, you're up a shield, and now you have Mew. So unless they have an Umbreon on the back, you're usually in a pretty good spot. So they are going to throw a Night Slash here. I'm going to shield it because it's going to do a decent amount of damage. Ends up being a Alolan Marowak. We know how this goes. Mew beats a Alolan Marowak. Even the Flame Charge Grass Knot variant does, if you just go straight Flame Charge and just Shadow Claw down. It's not nearly as reliable because if shields are down, you kind of want the Surf. So personally, I think this is the best moveset for Mew for this line, but I can understand that if you don't want to go through the TM roulette, you probably want to just save up and just go with the Mew you have. Alright, Medicham. Again, Pelipper's usually a safe swap in most situations. I don't see too many Galvantulas in the back, and if they have a Galvantula, then it's pretty rough in general, even from Mew. Alright, so I do try to win Switch here. They go Surf and bait me with Surf, which is kind of unfortunate, because I definitely will survive that. A little bit some weird lag here, but they actually let it go, which is interesting. I probably maybe could have farmed up a little bit more, but here comes the Medicham. This is good. I'm just going to do as much damage as I can because I know these Ice Punch are going to come through eventually. And I wasn't sure if I was going to get to Hurricane. Yeah, here comes Ice Punch. I get to another Weather Ball, which is huge. Let's see if they shield this or not. They don't shield. Very interesting. Here comes G-Fisk. Alright, so this is going to be interesting because they are up a shield. I'm going to tank this move. Ends up being Rock Slide. Here's the thing. You can tank an Earthquake anyway, and they still have to throw another charge move. So I usually just let the first move go. If it's Earthquake, it's Earthquake. Honestly, I feel like Rock Slide with this many shields up is not a bad call because you have to land 2 Rock Slides anyways to take out this Mew. It's almost better to do that than throw the Earthquake. You spend a bunch of energy, you still have to land another Rock Slide, right? But yeah, so as you can see here, I swapped to my Bastiodon to catch an Earthquake. I guess maybe they're really quick on the reactions. I don't know. That was interesting. That was well played. But they can't go Rock Slide here, so they had to go for another Earthquake and be able to finish it off still. Alright, Shadow Machamp. Really tough lead, but my opponent here, Tiny Boy, buddy of mine, is not swapping out. I had a feeling I knew what his team was because I battled him before, so that's why I swapped in Mew. Usually I go Pelipper, but he's running a Jellicent and Drifblim in the back, which is why I decided to go Mew. That's just because I battled him before. I actually did play him earlier tonight as well, and I went Pelipper safe swap and still have played. So it's not really a big deal one way or another. He does shield, and I'm going to start farming. We are down on shields, unfortunately. And the thing is, he actually baited me with 2 cross shot, which is very unfortunate. But it is what it is. I go Shadow Ball here, and then I'm going to come in with Pelipper to get a little extra farm here. And then go straight for the Hurricane. Here's the thing. So the Machamp is going to be kind of annoying. I do have energy on my I do have energy on my Bastiodon, but he does have to throw this cross shot because we CMP there. I'm going to throw the Flamethrower right away. I don't want to take any of these counters, and then Bastiodon against the Jellicent should be able to be a solid win, and he's going to concede the match right there. Alright, Deoxys Defense. Also kind of rough. Deoxys Defense is not nearly as bad as you would think, because it's taking neutral from Smackdowns and Stone Edge. So, and it doesn't really have great charge moves. The best charge move it has is Thunderbolt, and if not running Thunderbolt, they pretty much do no damage for their charge moves. They're better off just throwing counters, to be honest. So I do land the Hurricane here, so I could potentially flip switch. So I am going to just tank this next play rough, and then just start throwing these Weather Balls. Landing that Hurricane is essential for winning switch. And then I end up banking my move right there, because they aggressively swap back, so they didn't want me to farm them down. And I'm coming with my Mew right here, and then I guess I go for a Surf. I don't know why. Maybe I should go on Wild Charge. I guess I didn't want to debuff myself, and I figured they probably would. Okay, I guess maybe I should have gone for the Wild Charge. Okay, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I'm going to come in with Bastiodon, though, farm up some energy. Bastiodon with energy is great, and here comes a Venusaur. So I'm actually glad I didn't shield, because Bastiodon, you really need shields against in the back here against grass. So luckily Venusaur doesn't have Earthquake. They shield, and remember, I had the Hurricane banked, right? That came in really handy right here. Able to one-shot the Venusaur, and then finish off the Azu, and then now my Bastiodon can finish off the DD. Alright, double charm lines. Double charm lines are kind of rough, to be honest. They're kind of hard. You have to win switch to really do it. I wasn't really sure if this was double charm when I first faced it, but I go straight for the Hurricane to potentially flip switch, and luckily I do, so that's huge. They don't shield, and then I'm trying to spam away at the Weather Ball. I get the Weather Ball off, which is really nice, and then here I could have alignment with my Mew against the DD, and then they came back in pretty quick, which means that I could actually get quite a bit of energy here. I'm just going to farm up a bunch of energy, and then they have Alolan Ninetales, and I'm going to see the match right there. So winning switch on double charm teams is very, very essential. Now, Obstagoon, probably one of the hardest leads in my opinion. Super hard, great against Mew, has solid play against Pelipper as well. They actually get a boost here too, that's pretty rough. Pelipper's probably my best counter to it, and surprisingly they're staying in. I kind of didn't mind that they got a boost because they're probably more inclined to stay in that situation. They do shield here. I need to shield this Pelipper just because I need to get rid of this Obstagoon as fast as possible. And then do a great swap to Azu too, my gosh. Person's making all the plays. And then I bring in my Mew. The reason I brought in Mew instead of DD, or instead of Bastiodon, so they have an Azu and an Obstagoon. Both are kind of anti-steal, which means their last Pokemon is probably a little bit weaker to steal. If they're running another anti-steal, I'm done for anyway, because Bastiodon's no play. But also, because this Obstagoon is taking neutral from Smackdowns at least, whereas Mew's doing nothing with these Shadow Claws. It ends up being Venusaur, so it ended up being the right call to bring in Mew right there, because Bastiodon is my best check to it. They go for a nice slash bait, unfortunate. As you can see, I try to finish off the Obstagoon, which I do, which is really nice, but then the Venusaur finishes me off. They still have a shield. I have to go straight Smackdowns, and they unfortunately are going to get to 2 Frenzy Plants. 1 Smackdown away. Really rough. But, you know, honestly, against the Obstagoon league, this is the closest I ever came to. I think this may be only the 2nd or 3rd one I went into. Obstagoons aren't super common in the meta, so I don't mind being super weak to it. The other biggest weakness to this line is Unova Stunfisk. That's probably the other hardest line to lead to beat. I actually luckily never faced one, but that's something to consider. You pretty much just gotta go Pelipper and hope they swap out, and then you win switch. Alright, so Venusaur leads. Pretty common these days. What I like to do is just go down shields, or go down the lead, and then bring in my Pelipper and farm down. They're going to be able to usually get to another Friends Plant if they stay in. And so here comes a Sableye. Usually there's a Sableye in the back of these lines, so what I like to do is get a slight energy head start. Even if we end up on even shields, my opponent doesn't shield the Hurricane, which is huge. And then here comes a G-Fizz. This is perfect because G-Fizz is going to take quite a bit from this Weather Ball. And then what I should have done is actually swap to Mew right there, just to tank the Rock Slide and have my Pelipper still alive. They actually go Venusaur here. That's fine. I'm going to just take it out so it doesn't have a chance to get to a Frenzy Plant. And then on even shields, especially at this deficit, I'll be fine. They go straight Rock Slide, no big deal. I just go for double Surf after the shield. They had to go Rock Slide again, and they're not going to get to a third one time. Actually, honestly, the next Rock Slide still wouldn't KO me. They had to go Earthquake here. So it looks like they're actually going Rock Slide, and you're going to see. Still able to survive it, and go straight Surf and take out the G-Fisk. Yeah, so Venusaur at least, just stay in. Don't shield anything. Force them to shield. They'll go down shields. They almost always stay in, and then you just farm down with Pelipper. Alright. Tropius. So once I saw the quick Sableye safe swap, I was like, huh, is this my Tropius double Dark line with Sableye and Umbreon in the back? So at the moment I saw this, I was like, oh shoot, they have a Dark in the back. That's going to be really rough for my Mew. Which is why I'm staying in with this Bastiodon, hoping to force both shields from this Sableye right here, or just take it out. That way I could get lineman back. They actually double shield, which is really good. And here comes a Scrafty. So they actually replaced the Umbreon in this line with a Scrafty. Honestly, that worked out way better for me. If they ran Umbreon like my original video recommended, they'd probably be able to win this match. But unfortunately, they went Scrafty, which is super weak, to Pelipper. I'm going to go straight for another Hurricane here and take out this Tropius as well. And then yeah, coming quickly with my Mew. I could tank a Foul Play here, so I'm not too worried. I just go straight for the Surf. Barely tank it, as you can see. So yeah, Tropius double Dark if it's an Umbreon on the back is actually kind of rough. Just because Mew kind of doesn't have a lot of play, even against Tropius, because it doesn't have Flame Charge or Ice Beam. Alright, Altaria lead. Very, very solid lead. But the thing is, Altaria leads are kind of rough at the same time, because that means they have two strong Checks of Bastion on the back, so you have to win switch. So that's why I'm double shielding here. I was like, you know what, I have to. They probably have another double steel in the back, another steel count in the back, so I have to take out this Sirfetch'd. Now I'm down shields, which is not great. So I really need to figure out what they have in the back there. And unfortunately, I can't get the Hurricane, so I'm just do some chip damage because they're going to swap out this Altaria anyway. And then they bring in the Shadow Machamp. Really smart play just to get a slight energy lead because they know they're not winning switch. And then they're going in with a Rock Slide. I'm going in with double Surfs, and hopefully I get the second one in time. Another interesting spin-off of one of my lines. Altaria, I ran Altaria Double Fighters, but they're Medicham and Toxicroak. This one's Sirfetch'd and Shadow Machamp. I don't know. I kind of would still prefer Toxicroak and Medicham. I think I don't know, Medicham would have been a little bit worse in the end there, though, so I don't know. But personally, I'm not a huge fan of Sirfetch'd. I feel like he's very, very glassy, and then pairing it with Shadow Machamp is just two very glassy fighters. Alright. My opponent here is coming in with Talonflame. The best thing about Talonflame is that it has no play against Pelipper either. So even if you don't swap out right away, you're fine. Because what do? They come in Talonflame into Pelipper. That's not a great situation for them, right? So they are going to do that. They're getting some Incinerates too, which is not great. But as you can see, it's not a good time for them, right? Alright, so they're going to hit me with a Flame Charge. That's fine. I'm at a shield deficit. So that's actually kind of rough because this Ferrothorn is actually pretty solid against my backline too. Mew is doing resistance damage with the charge moves, and it's resisting all these smackdowns, so it's actually surviving quite a bit. One Flamethrower would take it out, but the issue is it's got a shield advantage. So I come with Mew, and my play here is just to start chipping it down. I need to start doing some chip damage, just so that I could potentially put some shield pressure on. I do have to throw this Surf. I wasn't really sure if they're probably really close to Flame Charge already at that point. Maybe the better play is just to shield it and just farm it down with Shadow Claws. I don't know. But yeah, so here I'm just going to put on a lot of shield pressure with Mew and force him to shield Surf, even though it's not ideal. And then I'm going to go into Bastiodon. They have to throw a move right here because otherwise we're going to get Smackdown all the way down. And then I get my Shadow Claws off. Alright. The Vergiverg team. It is Shadow Hypno with Umbreon and Scrafty in the back. I had a feeling it was this team. Honestly, these days, anytime you see a Shadow Hypno in the lead, it's probably safe to assume they should go straight for the Umbreon right there. There's actually a slight misplay by me looking back on it. What I should have done is just stayed in with Bastiodon. The thing is, I know they have a Scrafty back, so I don't really want Bastiodon live longer than it needs to be. And here's the other thing. Mew has a really great matchup against Hypno, and then Pelipper has a great matchup against Scrafty. So I'm not too concerned, to be honest, because I have my counter still lined up, even as long as I maintain switch, and I will, right? They'll come with Scrafty, I come with Pelipper, they go in Hypno, I go in with Mew, and then we finish it off. So a slight misplay by me, but at this point, gotta do what Bastiodon does, which is just farm down, farm up a bunch of energy. I have a shield advantage still, so I'm in a pretty okay spot. I'm going to have to toss these flamethrowers at the Scrafty. They actually aggressively swapped the Scrafty, which is probably a smart play by them, because I only have one Pokemon at this point, so even if they got locked in here, what are they really going to do, right? Like, what can I really do in this scenario? Because it's pretty much 2v1 at this point anyway, with the Hypno and Scrafty versus my Mew. Excuse me. Anyway, we're gonna let this match play out. I'm not gonna re-record this segment, so you're just gonna have to listen to me cough. I apologize. I'll turn down the audio a little bit while I was coughing. But anyway, we're watching this play out. Still have to win this match here. Oh, I actually catch a Fire Punch here. That was actually pretty clutch. Definitely made the game harder for myself than I needed to, but if you played out how I recommended earlier, then you should be fine. Alright, Sableye lead. Sableye is a little bit rough because it actually does quite a bit against Bastiodon. It does beat Bastiodon if it invests one shield for the Stone Edge. So yeah, but the thing is, my backline's super weak to Sableye, especially Mew, so I kind of just want to stay in and play this out almost like the Venusaur matchup, where I force him to spend a shield and farm down with Pelipper. This one, unfortunately, they actually get extra Shadow Claws down, which is not great. So now I have to tank one of these Foul Plays. I'm going to shield it instead and get a slight energy lead. Pelipper with energy is really, really solid for the most part. Here comes the Azu, pretty solid. So I'm going to go straight for the Hurricane, see if they shield. They actually do shield, very interesting. So they go in for probably Play Rough, and then I'm going to go for the Mew. Mew just needs one Wild Charge. Surprisingly, they didn't swap out right away, so I was like, okay, they're probably not great against Mew, and as predicted, it's going to be a Registeel. So, honestly, I'd rather see a G-Fizz here. Registeel, you have to throw the Wild Charge to really start weakening it. And so I'm going to shield this, and then I know my Pelipper is close on the switch timer, so I'm probably going to swap out to a Pelipper to clear my debuffs here. As you can see, and go straight for the Hurricane, try to finish off this Azu. I do survive one of these moves, unless it's throwing a Hydro Pump, so I'm a little curious what it's going to be. If it's Hydro Pump, I pretty much lost. But they go Ice Beam, so they probably did not have the move or did not have enough. I was going to finish off there. Alright, Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales is also kind of a tough one. So it's a really, really positive lead, but that pretty much means they have two counters in the back. So what I know is I need a win switch. I need a win switch. The main thing is you have to land a Hurricane. So as your users know this as well, you could bait with a first Weather Ball. It's actually not a bad idea because most will actually shield that first one. But I think they're probably going to go for the 2 shield play here. So they're going to double shield, and that's exactly what they end up doing, which means now I can win switch because they shielded one Weather Ball, which means I go for the Hurricane, I take it out. And then now I win switch, I'll be in a very good spot. Let's see what they have in the back. They come in the Ninetales, I come in here, and they come in G-Fizz. Just as I planned, so I'm going to go straight for the Surf. They're probably going to go Earthquake Rock Slide, which makes the most sense because they don't have to go triple Rock Slide. But as you can see, that first Surf did quite a bit of damage already. And I'm going for this next Surf, and Mew, this is why I like Mew against G-Fizz. It really does well. It really outpaces it with the Surfs. And then they're going to concede the match right there. Galvantula, again, another very positive lead, right? So let's see what they do here. This one's actually staying in quite a bit for some reason. I go for the Stone Edge here. I don't know why. I guess I don't need the Stone Edge for the Galvantula. They actually go in with... They actually shield the Stone Edge. Kind of interesting. I come in with Mew. I think this is one of my earlier matchups where I realized that I probably should just call him with Pelipper because then I didn't have to spend a shield. But yeah, so let's see what happens here. Yeah, unfortunately, Pelipper would have been a better move right there. I didn't really play that one out super well. So I'm going to come with Pelipper right here and start farming some energy. And then I go in with a Bastiodon. Okay, they come back in with Pelipper. With Galvantula. Very interesting. Ends up being a Tropius. This makes sense, right? They don't have a hard check to Bastiodon besides the Azu. So a slight misplay by me, but I guess based on the team comp, it ended up working out a little bit. I would recommend, if I were to play that back, Stone Edge is fine against Azu. Surprisingly, they shield that. I still don't know why they shield that. but then you come in with Pelipper. That way you don't have to worry about the shields, and then because as you can see, you can still beat the Mew if it want to, and able to finish off the Galvantula there. All right, we got this. One of my patrons, he knew about this line ahead of time, so luckily we are able to get a mirror match to see how you play out the mirror. As I mentioned before, my Bastiodon very high ranked XL, so I know for a fact I can win the mirror in the lead in 0 shields. But the thing is, anytime you come into a mirror matchup here, it's actually not a big deal if you don't win. You don't win the lead. So let's see how this one plays out. Because if you have extra energy on the Mew, you might be able to bait with Surfs or go for the Wild Charge or stuff like that. In a mirror matchup, it's actually probably better to have the energy lead rather than having to switch. So this is definitely a long haul match. It's at 2.5 speed and it's still taking a while. And so as you can see here, I'm going to go with Flamethrower and take it out. Here comes their Mew, so I'm going to come with my Mew as well, just match it up on even energy. I go straight for the Surf, see if he shields. He does shield. I go for another Surf. This is huge because now I force 2 shields here, and then I'm going to let this go at this point. It's probably going to be Surf. That's fine. I should get some extra Shadow Call damage. Now I have a Pelipper with 2 shield advantage. I could double shield this Mew and be okay. Oh, I actually decided to come with Bastiodon. I guess just to wear it down and force it to drop its energy. And now I come with Pelipper. Right, we're in a really good spot now. We go straight for the Hurricane. He's going to go for the Weather Ball. I do shield just because at this point I needed to use my shields. I also thought maybe I lagged a little bit. I was a little behind on energy, but no, he correctly just goes for a Weather Ball right before I get to Hurricane. And then here I'm trying to Wing Attack it down. Alright, so that's a mirror, and as you can see, I was able to hit Legend with this line recently, and overall it was a lot of fun to play. As I mentioned before, Bastiodon can be a very high skilled Pokemon. You just need to learn how to use it if you're not using strictly fast move damage. A big shout out and thank you to all my patrons who've been supporting my content creation. If you would like to have early access to my lineups or some of my additional strategies, feel free to sign up in the Patreon link down below. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like and share, subscribe for future content, hit that notification bell to get alerted right when I post a new video, and I'll see y'all next time.